Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please be seated. Good afternoon, everybody. With today's vote in the Senate, the United States Congress has now passed a Wall Street reform bill that will bring greater economic security to families and businesses across the country. Hello, Mr. President. Hello, John. What are you doing here? I heard Chris Dodd and Bonnie Frank just passed a new bill and I had some questions to ask you about it, from the American people. That is great, John. What would you like to ask me? What is this Dodd-Frank Act? It is an act to promote the financial stability of the United States by improving accountability and transparency in the financial system. To end too big to fail. To protect the American taxpayer by ending bailouts. And to protect consumers from abusive financial services practices. That sounds great. Have you read it? Are you kidding? I am told it has 2,300 pages and is divided into 16 titles. Oh, I see. What are some of your favorite titles? I really like titles 1, 3, 7, 10, and a little bit of 11. Those are my favorite titles. Mr. President, I would like to hear what you think about titles 1, 3, 7, 10, and 11. Well, John, the first title is called Financial Stability. It outlines 2 new agencies charged with monitoring systemic risk and researching the state of the economy. It clarifies the supervision of bank holding companies by the Federal Reserve. The first title also creates the Financial Stability Oversight Council and the Office of Financial Research. The 2 new offices are attached to the Treasury Department. The Treasury Secretary will be the chair of the council. What I like the best about this title is that the head of the Financial Research Office will be appointed by yours truly, with confirmation by the Senate. This sounds like a big deal. What will the Financial Stability Oversight Council do? What are their duties, Mr. President? John, the council has 3 purposes. Number 1, to identify the risks to the financial stability of the United States from both financial and non-financial organizations. Number 2, to promote market discipline, by eliminating expectations that the government will shield them from losses in the event of failure. And, number 3, to respond to emerging threats to the stability of the United States financial system. The Council's duties are to enhance the integrity, efficiency, competitiveness, and stability of United States financial markets, to promote market discipline, and to maintain investor confidence. The Financial Stability Oversight Council will have 10 voting members and 5 non-voting advisory members. What about Title III, Mr. President? Title III is also known as the Transfer of Powers to the Comptroller, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation and the Federal Reserve. I like this part of the bill because it permanently increases the amount of deposits insured by the FDIC from $100,000 to $250,000. That's a whole lot of money, Mr. President. I know, John, that is how we roll. The third title also is intended to streamline banking regulation and reduce competition and overlaps between different regulators by abolishing the Office of Thrift Supervision and transferring its power over the appropriate holding companies to the Federal Reserve, state savings associations to the FDIC, and other thrifts to the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency. There are lots of agencies, councils and regulations already, Mr. President. What does Title VII do? John, the 7th title concerns regulation of over-the-counter swaps markets. Included in this section are the credit default swaps and credit derivative that were the subject of several bank failures in 2007. What's that noise? It must have been another bank failure. These things happen, John. Hopefully this bill will prevent large bank failures in the future given our increased bank regulation. What about Title X? Title X establishes the Bureau of Consumer Financial Protection within the Federal Reserve. The new bureau regulates consumer financial products and services in compliance with federal law. Who appoints the director? The director of the bureau is appointed by me with the advice and consent of the Senate, for a term of 5 years. I would like to be the director of the bureau. Please pick me. Pretty please? No, John. That's quite all right. I already have someone in mind. What are some other provisions included in Title 10? The Bureau is subject to financial audit by the Government Accountability Office and must report to the Senate Banking Committee and the House Financial Services Committee biannually. The Financial Stability Oversight Council may issue a stay to the Bureau with an appealable two-thirds vote. Even though the Bureau is placed within the Federal Reserve, it operates independently. What will the Bureau of Consumer Financial Protection do, Mr. President? John, the Bureau will be divided into 5 units in charge of research, community affairs, complaint tracking and collection, an Office of Fair Lending and Equal Opportunity that ensures equitable access to credit, and an Office of Financial Literacy that promotes financial literacy among consumers. Title 11 is about Federal Reserve System provisions. A new position is created on the Board of Governors, the Vice Chairman for Supervision, who is responsible for developing policy recommendations to the Board regarding supervision and regulation of financial institutions supervised by the Board. What else will the Vice Chairman do? The Vice Chairman also oversees the supervision and regulation of such firms and reports to Congress on a semi-annual basis to disclose their activities and efforts, testifying before a Committee on Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs of the Senate and the Committee on Financial Services of the House of Representatives. What about auditing? The Government Accountability Office is now required to perform several different audits of the Federal Reserve, which include a one-time audit of any emergency lending facility established by the Federal Reserve during the financial crisis, and a Federal Reserve governance audit that studies whether there are actual or potential conflicts. It also requires that when a firm is determining capital requirements for regulated organizations, off-balance sheet activities must be taken into consideration, being those things that create an accounting liability. Wow, that all sounds very expensive. Well, the price of stability does not come cheap. I hope we all get our money's worth. Thank you for taking the time to explain this to me, Mr. President. I have learned a lot about the Dodd-Frank bill.